All right, we're back. Like I said, main topic of this stream today is Drake Kendrick Lamar beef that has exploded into Drake versus everybody, Drake versus Future versus Rick Ross, J. Cole hopped in there, Metro's in there, Kanye now just threw his hat in the ring. So like, there's been a lot going on, and unless you lived under a absolute fucking rock these past this year, like you've probably heard of this at some point. It's come across your screen at some point on any social platform. Your friends have probably talked about it. Shit, your family might have talked about it. Like I've had conversations with people that I didn't even think listened to hip hop that I brought this up, and like have had questions about what's going on with Drake and Kendrick, what's going on with J Cole, what's going on for, like what's going on in hip hop right now, and it's pretty much been talk of town the past month, and for good reason, because like these are the biggest acts in hip hop, hands down. Whether you whichever order you want to put them in, it's Drake, Kendrick, and J Cole. Whatever order you want to put them in, those are easy the biggest names in hip hop. They've been around the longest out of this kind of current crop of artists. They can each sell out a tour on their own. They can feature on anybody. They can cross over. Like they have the credentials to back up their claims as the big three. And for many years, people have considered them to be the big three of hip hop. When you said big three, these are the names that instantly popped up. And these are ones that always people compare to who is the guy, who is the best in hip hop. Because if you're not a fan or familiar with hip hop, it has always been incredibly competitive. It's pretty much always been about who's the best rapper, who is the top guy. It's always been kind of a rotating chair. People have had it for, certain amount of time. Then they didn't have it. Other people had it. Like there's been a lot of beefs, a lot of back and forths, a lot of absolutely incredible verses that have come from the competition and the culture that is hip hop. So like whenever somebody mentioned big three, who's the big three of today, who's the best rapper today, these are typically the three names that would most likely come up when people were having those discussions. So to finally kind of see it break out and to see them compete head to head directly got me excited because I am the biggest fan of hip hop. I've been following it since I can remember. I grew up in the '90s. I remember early 2000s, like which was full of lyricists, full of bars, full of beefs, so full of like verbal sparring on tracks. Like this is what you did in hip hop. The culture, the core of what hip hop is and always was kind of being the best lyricist possible, being the best rapper possible, and proving it on wax. Nowadays, you don't really get that because a lot of like this newer generation, current generation of artists don't really rap. Let's be honest, they don't really rap. And if they do rap, it's very basic, very minimum. And if anything, they really mix it with auto tune and singing to compensate for the lack of lyricism and bars. And it seems to be like it's almost, unfortunately, it is seems to be lyricism and bars and ability to spit has become a relic of the past. It's just not what these young artists are clamoring for. It's not what these young fans and audiences, as hip hop has grown and become more global and widespread, it has not resonated with the widespread audience as much as it used to because obviously lyricism was never the most mainstream aspect of hip hop, but it was the core and the backbone of what set it apart from everything else out there. And to see it kind of come back in any sort of form, I'm always for, because all this kumbaya, we're buddy buddy, we're gonna go on tour together, we're all the big three, was getting a bit tiresome. So like I said, unless you were living under an absolute fucking rock, you probably heard about the bomb that Kendrick dropped with Feature and Metro and calling like that. But that wasn't the start of it. This has kind of been simmering, percolating amongst Drake and Kendrick specifically over the last almost 10 years or so. And I've always wondered why. So that's what we want to explore. That's what we want to talk about. We want to see like why this kicked off. Where did it start? What was brewing before this? And what next? So let's kind of check the history of like how these two came to butt heads to begin with. But like I said, Billboard had kind of a pretty cool, pretty fairly accurate timeline of how this all started and like their relationship. So we're just gonna hop into that, and then we're just gonna hop back and forth and talk about all the different layers to this ongoing kind of beef back and forth as we go. So like I said, title of the Billboard article is Drake and Kendrick Lamar's rocky relationship explained. Nothing has been the same since Drake and Kendrick Lamar first collaborated in 2011. Everybody wanted this. First line, absolutely true. I wanted this. I wanted to see who's really the best, who can go toe to toe with each other. Is Drake really like that? Is Kendrick really like that? Is Cole really like that? Like, let's get some competition back in hip hop, and I'm for this. So, yeah. November 2011, Kendrick Lamar featured on Drake's Take Care album. He was the latter half of Marvin's Room. And for a lot of people who weren't familiar, who weren't into like hip hop at its core and like underground and finding like these big up and coming artists, this was their first introduction to Kendrick Lamar. Me, no. I have been known Kendrick since Training Day. I've been following for a long time. He had just dropped Section 80, which was one of my favorite albums of that time period and still one of my favorite albums that he's ever put out. And I already knew the trajectory that he was about to be on. But for other people, this is what really kind of set him apart and like really let them know like this guy is next up. Yeah, like I said, coming off of Section 80, Lamar was arguably the next West Coast savior to steer the ship, and Drake took advantage of this momentum by allowing him to shine on his Buried Alive interlude on the second half of Marvin's Room. It's something that, it's a trend and something that Drake has continuously done throughout his long career to this point, is that he identifies young up-and-coming artists and talent, and he looks to kind of not necessarily leech off of that, but kind of leech off of that, hop onto that wave before that wave really takes off, and really kind of like either collabs with them and brings them on, or just hops on one of their songs, one of their hot songs, and then basically turns that song into a Drake song. And in this situation, there was no song for him to hop on. Instead, he brought Kendrick into his fold and like allowed him room to kind of introduce himself to his wider audience that Drake clearly had at that time, which is also dope. But we also know, if you have been following Drake at any point in time, it's not all altruistic. He wasn't just doing this out the goodness of his heart. He is the ultimate wave rider, and it's why he has been able to stay at the top of the game for as long as he has, because like I said, he's got an incredible eye, incredible ear for talent, and he knows what's going to pop before it even pops a lot of times, and knows that he has the ability to hop on any sort of wave and then kind of ride that to keep his status at the top of the game. And like, it's not always altruistic. This could have been altruistic, but I doubt it. He also seen an opportunity for himself to get himself more kind of underground backpack rap kind of credibility, because that's the audience that Kendrick Lamar had at that time. But I guess we can kind of check out that song if you are unfamiliar with Marvin's Room. Like I said, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Drake's kind of, or Kendrick's introduction to the wider mainstream and his feature on Take Care with Drake, let's check this out. Like I said, man, it was definitely a different time. Obviously, different than energy. He was bigging up Drake. He was kind of speaking on the advice that he was giving him. He was giving him props for that. He was literally like letting him know, like, I'm trying to get to where you are, and the reason you were like showing me this different level is what's inspiring me to even reach that level even more. So like, it was definitely different times. They were on a much better standing. You know. They appreciate each other. They definitely appreciated each other at that point. And it's really, like I said, to the wider audience, this really introduced Kendrick Lamar to them in his unique style and appeal and like delivery and what he himself could bring to hip hop. And I think it was dope. It was dope from both of them. It was dope for it was a dope Kendrick verse, and it's memorable, and it was a dope choice for Drake to kind of reach out to him and put him on one of the biggest albums of the last couple of decades. So that was the Take Care era. And then right after that, Drake extended his hand once again and invited him to open up on his Club Paradise tour, which was an absolutely massive tour because Take Care was easily the biggest album of that year, and it's what solidified Drake as one of the biggest acts in hip hop. So he brought along him alongside A$AP Rocky as opening acts for his Club Paradise tour, and obviously it was highly successful, worth it. And a genius move by Drake and a dope move by Drake. Whether it was completely altruistic or not doesn't really matter. It is dope that he reached out his hand to two young artists who obviously I think would have had their own run because they were already incredibly buzzing at that point between A$AP Rocky and Kendrick Lamar. But to really like help them elevate even faster was dope for him to do. And touching on this, like Drake invites Kendrick Lamar to open out with Club Paradise tour. He also rapped about his decision to fight for Rocky and Lamar as openers on 2016's 4 p.m. in Calabasas, which is dope. Also, they appeared together again on A$AP Rocky's Fucking Problems, obviously, and Poetic Justice. Fucking Problems, one of A$AP Rocky's biggest songs to date and a absolute crowd pleaser. And then Poetic Justice, definitely one of the most well-known songs off of Good Kid, Mad City. So as you can see, their collaborations kind of continued following that directly, and it seemed to be like a burgeoning relationship was building. But things took a quick change in August of 2013. What happened in August 2013? Well, 2013, Kendrick Lamar takes aims at Drake and the rap game on Big Sean's Control verse. So this is a song that shook up the hip hop world, to say the least, had everybody commenting, had everybody having opinions and in their feels. Kendrick Lamar didn't hold back. It wasn't malicious, but he definitely set out an open challenge to anybody and everybody who thought that could be on his level when it comes in terms of rapping and being a rapper and being an artist and being the biggest artist in the game. He literally said, "I'm out there to kill all of y'all," and that's everybody included. And some people took offense to that, but we can check that one out. Let's just go straight to Kendrick Lamar's verse. Rewind. If y'all didn't catch that, rewind. I'm the king of New York. Like, you know, that set people off right there. He's from Compton, California, and he's saying he's the king of New York. Obviously, he kind of explained this later, saying it was more of an ode to Corrupt, who also said that in a previous line, especially when they're kind of going their back and forth, East Coast, West Coast. But like that off rip, obviously had people in their feels. You know who he didn't say in there? Your boy Drake. I'm usually home, boys. The same I'm rhyming with, but you should know what this is. This hip hop. You know what time it is. Yo, he was on demon time on this verse, and this set the hip hop world on fire, like he just did again with Like That. But for obvious reasons, a lot of people took offense to this, and one of those was Drake. What's competition? I'm trying to raise the bar high. Like I said, man, hip hop at its core was about competing. It was a sport. A sport. Who got the best lyrics? Who's the best lyricist? Who got crazy bars? Who can come in here and just spit? Like, that is what it was at its core. And if you know anything about Kendrick Lamar, that he is a true student of hip hop, true fan of hip hop. And at its core, hip hop was about competing and wanting to be the best rapper in the world. And it's kind of what he's always been about. He's always put out these challenges to other artists to compete, let's compete. Let's see. Let's rap. Let's really rap. Let's see who's the best one out there. And some people took the challenge and others didn't. Some people tried and some people failed. Like I said, man, that was kind of the first real crack in their relationship that you can kind of point to, because this is one that had him also directly responding to Kendrick Lamar. A lot of people responding and kind of giving their opinions. Some people were like, oh, I get it. This is about competition. He's just putting out a challenge. This is what hip hop is about. But Drake didn't necessarily have that type of response. He responded to Kendrick's diss, which wasn't really a diss, while gracing the cover of Billboard that same month, telling the publication, I didn't really have anything to say about it. It just sounded like an ambitious thought to me. That's all it was. I know good and well that Lamar is not murdering me at all in any platform. So when that day presents itself, I guess we can revisit the topic. Well. That day has been presenting itself recently. I'm not going to lie. That day has definitely been presenting itself. So as you can see already, there's some little cracks. There's some little tension. There's some you not better than me, I'm better than you type going on. Nothing's really malicious at this point. But Drake obviously felt some type of way about being called out and challenged directly on a song. And Kendrick is Kendrick and thinks he's the best rapper in the world, the best artist in the world. And he's continuously shown this and done this, whether it was in BET ciphers or whatnot. He has always put out the challenge, and direct challenge, has not been afraid to say people's names and say that I am the best one out here, and I dare any of y'all to say otherwise. Drake obviously didn't hop into that specifically. Being Chad said some things, that rubbed Kendrick Lamar the wrong way, and we all know how that went. Very ugly, folks. But nothing really came out of that directly from that kind of back and forth. But that was the first crack. Also in October 2013, Kendrick Lamar came at Drake once again during BET Hip Hop Awards Cypher. It is one of my favorite ciphers. So I think we got to do it. I think we got to watch. You gotta listen to that surf, because it is definitely one of those moments that had people like really scratching their heads. Like, is he talking about who we think he's talking about? Who is he talking about? Is this gonna start some ish? Like, what's going on? Let's and I mean, just to be quite bluntly, Kendrick Lamar murdered that ish. So let's go. Let's check this out. I'm the mathematic on your favorite MC while the industry wanted me assassin. Your favorite MC. Some people said that was Drake. You either corny or an opportunist. Again, a lot of people, especially still to this day, say Drake is corny. And they also say he doesn't do things out of the goodness of his heart. He only hops on other people's verses, on other people's songs, because it's an opportunity for himself. So you either corny or an opportunist. I wonder who he's talking about there. Nothing's been the same since the drop Control. Tuck a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes. Like, only some artists responded. And I'm pretty sure those are the ones he's calling sensitive. Aftermath gets the last laugh. If you've heard Drake's recent disses, he mentioned Aftermath in his scope specifically. I feel like some of y'all is hating. I mean, like, obviously there's some very, very clear shots in there that, like, No name specifically said, but he again calling out people who had responses. And Drake was definitely one of those people who had a very prominent response to the Control verse that wasn't necessarily friendly or competitive in nature. Like, he's addressing everybody, and like he's never been afraid to do that. So when people are like he's doing this out of nowhere, like I'm like he's been done this, and he done this multiple times. This is just the first time like people have really he just kind of skipped everything, just went direct. Like, and this is very evidence that this has been brewing for many years. This is 2013, folks, and easily one of the most memorable BT ciphers ever. Let's keep this going. Again, Drake once again says something in Vibe magazines. He addressed his shots at Kendrick on the language. Did he address? I don't know. Did he say something to him on the language? I'll have to check that out. I don't remember him. I don't remember Drake sending shots at Kendrick on the language, but we'll figure this out. Where it became an issue is that I was rolling out an album while that verse was still bubbling. So my album rollout became about this thing. What am I supposed to say? Nah, we'll be buddy buddy. Mind you, I never once said he's a bad guy or I don't like him. I think he's a fucking genius in his own right. But I also stood my ground as I should. And with that came another step, which then I have to realize I'm being baited and I'm not going to fall. Jordan doesn't have to play pickup to prove that he can play ball. No offense, but I'm not going to give you the chance to shake me necessarily because I feel great. There's no issue. So again, okay. I kind of forgot about this. But again, Kendrick was throwing that out there as clear bait. He said, I all y'all, but I'm trying to murder all of y'all. And if anybody wants to step up and prove me wrong and wants to take this challenge, we can get to it. Like, it was a straight up competitive challenge, a gladiator challenge to anybody that wanted to hop into the ring with him and rap. Specifically, he was talking about the bigger names out there that people said were bigger than him, that were better artists than him. Like, he was out to prove himself. He was still bubbling. He was still establishing himself in the game, and he wanted to let it be known, I'm not here to be buddy buddy or to take part or just be another cog. I'm here to take over. And it was a clear shot and a clear challenge. And Drake noticed that. Clearly he noticed that and said, I'm not falling for the bait. Because you didn't get a verse. You did not get a verse. You didn't hear him speak on this in a verse or lyrically. He spoke on this in an interview. He considered himself Jordan, and he considered like Kendrick to be like a young AI coming to the game to try to prove himself, and he wasn't going to allow him to kind of have that come up moment or get one over on him. So he kind of avoided the whole topic and tried to keep it friendly, competitive, but also say that I, as a man, I stood on what I said. So as you can see, like, it all started competitively, but Kendrick, a little bit more of a competitor than I would say Drake is, especially when it comes to verses and lyricism and wanting to put it on wax. But nothing crazy, nothing major, but some clear shots in interviews and in ciphers and in verses. Not direct, but clear ones. Very clear. Some more subtle shots fired from both sides, nothing groundbreaking. They exchanged a few jabs. K-Dot again, as he took aim at Trizzy, clearly on King Kuta when he called out somebody who had ghostwriting allegations. And there was one person in particular at the time, Drake and Meek Mill, who had very evident ghostwriting allegations. And this was him kind of chiming in on that. I can dig rapping, but a rapper with a ghostwriter, happened? We know exactly who he was talking about. Drake countered back on Game's 100 to save me rapping. I would have all your fans if I didn't go pop and I stayed on some conscious. We know exactly who he's talking about there as well. So as you can see, kind of like the Jay Nas situation before it really blew up. There was like little subtle shots back and forth, and it's very similar because Nas once again was considered the superior lyricist, superior artist, conceptually like more conscious, while Jay had the mainstream, the pop, and like all the mainstream accolades on lock. But there was still that competitive edge where Jay wanted to prove that I'm not just about pops and hits. I can go and get dirty with you. And this is very evident of that kind of same period. Kendrick once again continued on Dr. Dre's Compton album where he fired more shots on Dark Side, Just Gone, and Deep Water. They liable to bury him. They nominated 6 to carry him. They worry him to death, but he's no vegetarian. The beef is on his breath, inheriting the drama better than a great white. Nigga, this is life in my aquarium. They're liable to bury him. They nominated 6. What does he call him? 6 God to carry him. They worry him to death, but he's no vegetarian. Meaning, I'm not afraid of beef. The beef is on my breath, and I'm inheriting drama better than a great white. This is my aquarium. Like, hop in. Basically, if you think you can swim, hop in. I'm the great white, and I'm going to show you. Clear shots once again. And then that brings us to October 2023 of last year. Drake, J. Cole link up again. Here's J. Cole kind of circling back in. If people don't know, Cole, especially early on in his career, were very like him and Kendrick had kind of come up together. They were buddy. They had a lot of songs together. J. Cole produced some stuff for him. Kendrick and him even had a rumored album together. They seemed to be like the pair to look out for after Drake. And like their come up was very much tied together at one point. And like TDE and Greenville were very much like neck and neck for a long period of time. And there was like a very cordial, friendly situation going on where they like, not a lot of people in the industry feel like or seem to be true friends, but these two seem to be true friends and like kindred spirits in terms of loving hip hop at its core for what it is, which is competition. So it probably irked Kendrick at some point to see Drake and J. Cole linking up, because if we're about competition and you're saying you're the best and you're the top guy, why are y'all linking up? Why are y'all doing songs together? Why are y'all being buddy and kind of having a circle jerk? Because that's kind of what they did on First Person Shooter. And it clearly rubbed him the wrong way. Because if you don't know, First Person Shooter is definitely a celebratory pat on the back for each other and how great they are and how amazing they are and how they are at the top of the game and nobody wants to mess with them. Even Cole kind of mentioned it. He said he saluted him. He did salute him. Love when they argue who the hardest MC. Is it K Dot? Is it Aubrey or me? Again, big 3. Is it Dot? Is it Kendrick? Is it Drake? Or is it Cole? We the big 3, like we started a league, but right now I feel like I'm Muhammad Ali. So what he's saying, I feel like I'm the greatest. Which as a rapper, you should. As a competitor, you should feel that way. But Kendrick Lamar is also an ultra competitor, and he's been saying he is the greatest, and he's been wanting somebody to step up and say that he's not. That to claim that they are, especially on verse. And this is the really, really first time, almost in a direct response to Kendrick, somebody has said, no, I'm the true greatest. But I love that song. So let's check out First Person Shooter. I mean, obviously, a direct challenge. Not the 3, not the 2. I'm number 1. Me and Drake in this shit like the Super Bowl. A Super Bowl is what? 1v1. One team versus another team that leaves out who? Kendrick Lamar. Again, I'm sure he wasn't feeling that one. It's just you and Cole. Now, like I said, Cole did mention Dot, but what did Drake say? It's just you and Cole. Is it K Dot? Is it Aubrey? It's me. We the big three like we started the league. Like the Spider-Man, me and Drake. Me and Drake, once again. Two people. Leaving out who? I mean, I'm gonna just stop right there because Drake basically tapped out. He didn't really want to go back and forth with Cole. He did the opposite of what Cole was doing, and he avoided rapping and going bar for bar with him, which was whack. I think Cole absolutely washed him in there, and I think he was afraid to really kind of take that challenge, but that is for another day. I know a lot of people probably heard that song and thought all that shit was light. They wasn't really saying anything about Kendrick Lamar. They weren't really going at him. But again, if you really look back at what we just did, going all the way back to 2011, 2012, 2013, the shots have been there. The shots have clearly been there and have been very calculated from both sides. And Drake didn't just say it's just me and Cole just to say it's just me and Cole. He knew this would get back to Kendrick. He knew he would purposely leave him out of there because he doesn't consider him to be on his level, and he doesn't want to give him the props to be on his level. He might say in interviews, he might say it on stage, but when it comes to wax, he always is going to try to put his foot on his neck and establish the true pecking order in his mind. So, at the time, I thought it was light. I didn't think it was going to lead to much. I thought it might lead to more subs. It might lead to a little back and forth. Nothing crazy. Nothing like out of hand. But was I wrong? Because Kendrick came back and kind of lit off a bomb and set off kind of a domino effect, let's say. Let's get right to it. Right after that, Kendrick Lamar responded along with Future and Metro Boomin on Like That. Hold up. What'd he say? Don't pull no coffin out of your mouth. I'm way too paranoid for a threat. Meaning like, don't sub me no more, bruh. Don't sub me no more. I'm just going to assume ultimate disrespect at this point. Let's get it, bro. Money, power, respect. The last one is better. He's letting them know, like, respect in the game to him is more important than money and power. You might got money and power, but I got more respect than you. Say it's a lot of goofies with a check. Okay, let's get it up. It's time for him to prove that he's a problem. I'm tired of hearing the subs. I'm tired of hearing the runaround. It's time for you to prove that you're a problem. Niggas clicking up. Who's clicking up? Cole? Drake. Sneak this in. First person shooter. I hope that came with 3 switches. Exactly who he's talking about. If he walk around that stick, it ain't Andre 3K. Who mentioned the stick in the room? Oh. Cole mentioned the stick recently in verses. Okay. If we walk around that stick, it ain't Andre 3K. Think I won't drop the location? The big 3. Nick is just. I mean, he can't put it more bluntly than that. The big 3. Ain't no Cole, ain't no Drake, ain't no me. It's just me. And that's another shot at Drake. Drake considers himself to be like the Michael Jackson in hip hop. And if he's a Michael Jackson in hip hop, Kendrick is the Prince, the artistic, the real artist who produces his own stuff, who writes his own music. What's the knock between Mike and Prince? Prince is the producer, the engineer, the writer. He does the instruments. Like, Mike is the face and a pop star, but a lot of people consider Prince the true genius because he does everything himself. Think about it. Dogs get For all your dogs, obviously Drake for all the dogs getting buried. For all these dogs with a K, you gonna see Pet Cemetery. Hey man, quite honestly, like obviously, that shit that shook the hip hop world up. Like everybody had a response, everybody in their feelings. This shit shot to #1 immediately, and there's a reason it was the most memorable verse, the most memorable song off of Future and Metro Boomin's 2-pack that they gave us. There's a reason. This shit, no frills, no subs, no sneak dissing. He's letting us know exactly how he felt. There is no big three. It's just big me. He's tired of seeing these dudes clicking up and being buddy buddy. He's tired of hearing the subs. If you really about that, let's see. And that was a clear shot as you can get. And obviously that set off quite the chain reaction.